The outline of my presentation is as follows: an introduction, gender-related constraints in the sector, institutional arrangements in promoting gender-responsive agriculture, strategies and initiatives to mainstream gender in agriculture, recommendations, and conclusion. I'll try to be as brief as possible. MoFA acknowledges the contribution of the diverse groups in the sector. One of the 12 guidelines of Step 2 says that all policies and programs will be designed from a gender perspective. This creates the environment that works towards achieving gender equality in the sector. METASIP, our plan, which ensures that we carry out our policy, also emphasizes gender equity in all activities along the agricultural value chain. Contribution of women to the sector. Much has been said about this already, but just to take us through, we are aware of the important resource in agriculture, of the role of women as an important resource in agriculture and the rural economy. They are the farmers, they are laborers, processors, traders, and the female share of agricultural labor ranges from 20 to 50%. That big. Yet they face many constraints because of their gender. These constraints reduce their productivity and retard progress on the broader economic and social development goals. Some of the gender-related constraints in the sector are limited access to key productive resources such as land, credit, information technology, which have been mentioned already. Land ownership and internal security is also an issue. Men hold about 3.2 times more total farmland than women, according to research. Challenges in accessing land by women are to do with the processes and the cost, and women have acknowledged these. They have acknowledged that they need money to own land, and for that reason, they even find a need to have farmer-based organizations that will help them own bigger lands. Women's right to access credit is also a limitation. Of course, you need money to own land, whether you are renting or buying. According to research, about 40.4% of women in the farming arena or agricultural arena have never accessed credit. Frequency of access to extension service is also an issue. Whilst the men are accessing about 75%, the women are around 24%. Of course, that woman has to cook. She has to do things at home and will not even be available when there's an extension technology dissemination program. 4 main barriers to accessing agricultural extension services mentioned by farmers are that they are not very close to the agricultural extension officers. No, she has to stop doing very important things at home to be able to reach a farmer, and she would rather opt to be at home working for the household. Personal perception. Some of them don't even think they need anybody to give them advice on extension service. No. And they lack knowledge of the existence of even such services. According to research, female farmers have lower adoption rate of modern crop varieties and other technologies. Of course, even when they have this knowledge, they do not have access to much land. Other challenges include the absence of up-to-date data on smallholder farmers, especially women, to inform policy decisions and programming. Gender neutral agricultural research. So most of the research is not gender specific. Nutrition, which is a serious problem amongst children, adolescents, and women of reproductive age, also affects the agricultural productivity indirectly. The triple workload of women undermines their productivity and earnings. Rationale for improving women's access to land. Strengthening women's access to and control over land is an important means of raising their status and also an influence within the households and communities. Improving their access to land and security of tenure has direct impact on farm productivity and improving household welfare. When a woman has resource, most of it is used at home, used on the family, used on the children. Strategies to address the gender constraints that have been mentioned by other speakers and by myself. The Ministry of Agri specifically has developed the GATS, the Gender and Agricultural Development Strategy. This is to inform gender mainstreaming processes of the sector. It has 8 strategies, as Dorothy said, and as we can see, these are the strategies: to enhance institutional capacity of MoFA to address gender issues, promote production and use of sex and age disaggregated data, improve extension service delivery, improve access by farmers to financial services, improve access to information on land rights, improve development and promotion of appropriate technologies in agriculture, promote the diversification and development of new processed products, and enhance environmental protection through appropriate agricultural practices. The GATS has achieved a lot, but we still found that there's the need to review it. These are some of the achievements, and we are in the process of reviewing the GATS. The West African Agricultural Productivity Program has supported us to do this, and there's a draft available. The constraints, the strategies to address this include the establishment of the Women in Agri Development Directorate in the Ministry of Agri, and to support and empower women, we have 4 main areas of activities. We do food-based nutrition in relation to food production and diet improvement, value addition to agricultural produce, food safety at food processing sites, and gender mainstreaming of agricultural policies, programs, and activities. Functions of WIAD. We do policy formulation, provide technical backstopping to the regions and districts. We collaborate with research, for instance, food research and the universities. We monitor and evaluate programs in the regions and districts. WIAD has worked closely with GCAP. We advocate for the inclusion of women and women groups in the project as nucleus farmers and outgrowers. We support GCAP to implement an all-inclusive business model. All the nucleus farmers have substantial number of outgrowers, of which 41% are women. WIAD also supports the promotion of gender integration into WAP. Some of the interventions are disseminating value addition technologies, and so far we've trained 345 people, 288 of them being females and 27 males. WIAD advocates women's access to improved seed and planting materials and a gender-responsive adaptive research. Technology transfer is key to our activities. As we can see from the pictures, these women are being trained to use sweet potato in all sorts of food forms. And it's interesting to find some men participating, because we believe that agriculture is about men and women. We only give the women a special dispensation because they are less endowed, and we need to empower them to ensure that they can also contribute to the economy of their homes and of the nation as a whole. This is a breakdown of some beneficiaries for various programs that the ministry has run. Challenges to mainstreaming gender. There's inadequate budgetary allocation. Gender issues are mainly considered as women issues, but as we've all learned here, gender is about both men and women, and the less privileged among them should be taken care of. And statistically, we find that it's the women mostly who are less endowed. There's low capacity in gender analysis. This needs to be taken care of. Recommendations: provision of resource, especially increased budget allocation for WIAD activities. We need a strong political and leadership role. MoFA directorates and the centralized agriculture department must be made accountable to implementing the new gaps that we are coming up with. Capacity building of staff in gender analysis and production of gender-sensitive reports is very important. In conclusion, we are saying gender mainstreaming is a complex process. It's not that straightforward, and it involves a change in attitudes and mindset. It requires consistent effort and resource and long-term commitment. Political and leadership will very important. In order to be fully effective in this area, MoFA needs to institutionalize gender as part of its business model to address gender-specific constraints in the sector. Integrating gender concerns into policies, programs, and projects produce significant gains for society by increasing agricultural productivity, reducing poverty, hunger, and malnutrition, and promoting economic growth. Gender-aware policies and well-designed development projects help close gender gaps. Thank you for your attention.